The following clips all come from the same household, a Spanish-speaking home that, based on what's being documented across multiple nights, seems to be experiencing something persistent and escalating. It starts quietly enough. A static bedroom camera captures the room at night, the person in the bed asleep under a black and white blanket, the city lights faintly visible through the window curtains. Nothing moves, nothing sounds. But at around the 6-second mark, if you shift your attention to the right side window pane, something is already there. Watch. A tall, dark, humanoid silhouette, head and shoulders clearly defined, appears in the window's reflection, leaning into the frame from the right edge of the glass, far more solid and opaque than any ambient reflection in the room. It holds its position and doesn't move. Many viewers immediately gravitated toward the shadow person label, a term used widely in paranormal communities to describe dark, human-shaped figures that appear at the edges of spaces, in doorways, reflections, hallways, often described as observing rather than interacting. Skeptics point out that window reflections can be tricky, that a streetlight or passing car might produce a humanoid shape under the right conditions. But the figure's defined shoulders, the deliberate stillness, the way it seems to lean inward rather than just appear, that's harder to explain away. What was standing outside that window? The household wasn't done documenting. Not long after, the woman of the home grabs her phone to record something that's been bothering her for around 5 minutes. The television is changing channels on its own, lowering its volume without anyone touching the remote. She's even wrapped the remote in plastic to prove it isn't a stuck button. Watch closely.
Miren cómo le baja el volumen y cambia el canal. Es re pesado. Hace 5 minutos más o menos que está así. Y es el único control que hay. No lo estoy usando. Y pone el mismo canal siempre. Así que es la vieja escuela. Es el único control que hay y no tenemos. Literalmente no hay otro. No lo estoy usando. Pero si yo pongo el otro, me lo vuelve a bajar y me lo vuelve a cambiar. Es un patrón, parece que no quiere que veamos Gravity Falls y me lo baja. No lo voy a tocar más. Le vamos a tener que ver los picapiedras.
The TV repeatedly lowers its volume, cuts to black, and cycles back, always landing on the same channel, always returning to the Flintstones, no matter what she tries to put on instead. She puts the remote down on the bed entirely, and it keeps happening. She even says it out loud. It seems like it doesn't want them watching anything else. That detail is what makes this harder to dismiss than a simple technical glitch. A malfunctioning remote or signal interference might produce random channel changes, but a consistent preference, the same cartoon over and over, overriding manual input, starts to feel less like a hardware issue and more like intent. Some in the paranormal community interpret repeated technology interference as a sign of energy manipulation, the idea that whatever is present in a space can interact with electronics, drawn to the electromagnetic fields that devices emit. Others think it's far simpler, a glitch with a logical explanation that the camera just happened to catch at length. Either way, the woman concludes, half resigned, half unnerved. They're going to have to watch the Flintstones. But the activity didn't stay confined to electronics. During the day, the same woman attempts to light a charcoal disc, the kind used for burning resins and incense, explaining that she's already tried cleaning the space with vinegar to calm things down, and this is her 5th attempt to get the disc lit. She places it in a small white ceramic holder and walks it toward the window. Listen closely.
Voy a prender una esferita mágica porque ya había limpiado igual con vinagre el piso, pero parece que no lo calmó. Generalmente cuando prendo esto se calma un toque. El tema es que se prenda porque ya es la 5ª vez que lo trato de prender. Saltó, ¿lo vieron? Saltó. ¿Pero dónde cayó? literalmente se partió.
Charcoal discs can occasionally crack or pop when moisture is trapped inside, but an explosion of that force, that volume of smoke, that trajectory, it's a different category of event entirely. She'd been using the disc specifically to spiritually cleanse the space, and for many viewers who practice similar traditions, the disc breaking apart so violently is itself a sign, an indication that whatever energy is present resisted or reacted to the attempt. In some folk spiritual traditions across Latin America, a cleansing ritual that fails dramatically is interpreted not as a malfunction but as pushback, evidence of a hostile presence that doesn't want to be cleared. By nighttime, whatever she thought she'd seen or sensed had become impossible to ignore. She films the door to the bathroom, a white door with textured privacy glass, because she says she can see something through it, even if the phone's reflection partially blocks the view. Watch.
De acá lo veo, pero el celular le da el reflejo. Ahora mismo tranquila porque está él. Y no hay nadie en la casa. Nadie de nadie está en la casa.
Through the pebbled glass, a dark humanoid silhouette is visible. A head, shoulders, the shape of someone standing motionless on the other side. And when she moves the camera down the darkened hallway to show there's no one there, she says it plainly. There is no one in the house, no one at all. The same household. A figure in the window reflection at night. A television with a fixed preference no one programmed. A spiritual cleansing that ended in an explosion, and a silhouette standing behind a closed door in an empty home. Whatever is happening inside those four walls, it doesn't seem to be answering any questions. Just adding more. The following two clips were recorded inside what appears to be the same school building, an older institutional space in the United States where, according to the men doing the recording, strange things happen on a regular basis. The kind of building where you start noticing sounds that have no obvious source, and where being alone at night feels like a decision you quickly regret. In the first clip, two men are sitting together in a break room or office area late in the evening, and almost immediately something interrupts their conversation. Listen closely.
Hoy. ¿Es el Juan?
¿Verdad?
A estas horas
Ajá.
se oye. Ayer también estaba sentado y el mismo ruido.
Ok.
Ay,
No, pues no, ese güey anda en el gym, Juan.
bueno, anda en el gym, yo
Anda
sé.
anda en el gym.
Mira, los horas que no estuviste aquí,
Ajá.
la semana pasada, bueno, la hora que no estuviste aquí,
Ajá.
a la madrugada. Yo vengo a las 5 de la mañana y prendo todas las luces, quito alarma, prendo las luces y la chingada.
A series of loud, rhythmic knocks ring out from somewhere unseen. Not a one-off sound that could be brushed off, but persistent enough that both men stop and try to figure out where it's coming from. One of them points out that Juan, the person they initially suspect, isn't even in the building. He's at the gym, which rules out the most obvious explanation before anyone can even settle on it. What makes this clip harder to dismiss is the older man's follow-up story. He describes arriving alone at 5 in the morning, turning off the alarm, switching on the lights, and opening a closet door, and then hearing something groan from somewhere inside the empty building. He can't say where it came from, only that he heard it, and the nervous laugh that follows suggests the memory still unsettles him. Some viewers familiar with residual hauntings think sounds like these, rhythmic knocking, unexplained groaning, are echoes left behind by something that happened in the space long ago, replaying without awareness or intent. Others think it's something more active, something that responds to presence. In the second clip, the same building, the same kind of night, and one of the men is now walking through the school alone, narrating what he sees. Dark hallways, stacked chairs, the red glow of exit signs reflecting off the polished linoleum floor. He's calm, talking about how old the school is, how strange things happen here all the time. Watch.
Porque esta es una escuela muy, muy viejita. Entonces, pues sí, aquí, para la gente que pregunta, pasan a veces muchas cosas muy extrañas. Se escuchan muchos ruidos, tumban cosas. Entonces, eso es lo que pasa aquí. Creo que tiene más de 50 años en la escuela. Controversia, ¿no? Porque es... ¿O escucharon un grito? Oigan. Les digo.
Mid-sentence, something cuts through the quiet. A sharp, high-pitched sound, somewhere between a yelp and a muffled scream, and he stops immediately, asking whether anyone else just heard it. His voice shifts in a way that's difficult to fake. He describes it as a scream, and for the rest of the clip, he moves through those dark hallways in silence. So, what do you think he heard? This next clip was submitted as paranormal evidence, captured by a wall-mounted security camera inside what appears to be a modest family home, focused on a combined kitchen and dining area filled with the kind of everyday clutter that makes the scene feel completely ordinary and lived in. Nothing about the atmosphere initially feels threatening. In fact, the woman who shared this video later explained that they had simply been gossiping and relaxing together when something strange suddenly interrupted the moment. According to her, the maid abruptly reacted first, looking upward towards something off camera, which immediately changed the mood in the room. Watch. There's a strange voice, loud and clear, and in many cultures, particularly across Islamic traditions, Maghrib, the period just after sunset, is often considered a spiritually sensitive time. There are long-standing beliefs that dusk marks a transition period when unseen entities are more active, which is why many people are taught to avoid wandering unnecessarily at that hour or to recite prayers before night fully settles in. In folklore surrounding jinn and spiritual entities, sunset is frequently described as a time when the boundary between the seen and unseen feels thinner, making unexplained encounters more common. But the question is, whose voice was that and what was it trying to communicate? The following video was recorded by a man who, by his own admission, has reached a breaking point. Strange noises coming from inside his home, activity in the backyard, and now whatever has been happening inside his shed. He films himself in an agitated state, cutting between his own reactions and CCTV footage he pulled from a security camera mounted inside the shed, explaining that he'd been watching the Ring footage from inside before driving home in the pouring rain to see it for himself. He's clearly exhausted, oscillating between disbelief and genuine fear, and you can hear it in his voice when he says, "This is becoming unbearable." The CCTV feed is grainy black and white, the kind of footage that makes everything look a little wrong even before anything happens. Watch.
I'm so over this. Come on. Hey. This is becoming unbearable. That stuff happening in the woods? in my backyard, in the shed, in the house. I've got noises, I got things outside, I got things inside, I got things falling. But I'm finding clothes that don't belong to me in the corner, apparently in front of a mirror.
What, crutches, dude? Oh, of course. By the way, that's my uncle. If you missed it, I told that in a different video. Dude.
This does not make sense anymore. I can deal with a couple weird things, okay? That's fine. I'm telling you, I can't do it anymore.
The shed door swings inward on its own with significant force, and almost immediately after, something crashes violently just off camera to the right. Objects being thrown, heavy things hitting the floor, a metallic rattling that the man himself can't identify. It doesn't stop. The destruction continues in waves, each round louder than the last, shaking the camera with the impact. When he finally walks into the shed afterward, he finds clothes that don't belong to him piled near a mirror, a pair of crutches in the closet, and nameplates on the floor he struggles to explain. For some viewers, the escalating nature of the activity, bangs, crashes, objects displaced, foreign belongings appearing, points toward a poltergeist, a term rooted in German meaning noisy ghost, traditionally associated with violent, disruptive disturbances rather than silent apparitions. Poltergeist activity in paranormal literature is often described as kinetic and chaotic, with a particular tendency to focus on one location or one person. Skeptics, on the other hand, have pointed to the timestamp on the security footage, dated to a year that hasn't happened yet, as a significant red flag, suggesting the CCTV footage may have been staged or digitally altered. That detail alone gives pause. But whatever the explanation, the sounds on that feed are genuinely hard to sit with. Then there's what he found behind his house. In the days following the shed incident, this same man walked the trails behind his property, a wooded stretch backing up to a park, and discovered something that, while not overtly supernatural, carries its own deeply unsettling weight. He mentions things have been stolen off his property before, brought back into the woods, but nothing prepared him for this. Take a look.
Trails behind my house, again, were not made by me. And now look at this. You have seen nothing yet. You literally have to duck under them, jump over them. They're wrapped up in all the trees, all the way back to the back of these trails. I mean, look at this. This is insane. Ducking under. It goes this way as far as can be, all the way back here, wrapped around trees, goes this way. This is unreal. It spiderwebs itself back as far as you can see, and this is just one part of this trail. Look at this. The only thing it can be is either kids back here playing a joke or something, because these trails were made when I was gone. I traveled for a little bit and had to go away. So this had to be done in the winter time, but either it's kids or it's somebody like a homeless person or somebody stalking me back behind my house. But the worst thing is this. This is my bench. This is honestly unreal. Somebody, I don't even know how somebody lifted that thing up, but has brought my bench back here again, put all this on here, and basically has wrapped it up. Basically saying, F you, you're not getting your bench back. When it comes to this, I have absolutely called the authorities. Everyone has been contacted that needs be, because this is just intolerable. It's insane. It really is. I don't think this has anything to do with the haunting stuff that's going on in my yard and in my shed. I think this is something else. I feel like maybe someone has found out where I lived and they're doing this shit, or it's just somebody that's living in the woods or kids. I don't know. I really don't know. But to do this behind someone's house, and especially in a park, they're gonna get caught, man.
Strung between dozens of trees across the trail is an elaborate web of white plastic strapping, running from ankle height to chest level, weaving in every direction, wrapped around branches and tangled in massive knots on the ground. And at the center of it all, his own garden bench, dragged deep into the woods, buried under heavy logs, and bound with the same material. He says he contacted the authorities, and he's clear that he doesn't think this is connected to the paranormal activity in the shed. His instinct points to a stalker, someone who's found out where he lives, or possibly someone living in the woods. But that separation is hard to hold on to when you're watching both clips back to back. An unseen force tearing through a locked shed at night, and then an elaborate, almost ritualistic construction in the woods behind the same house. One chaotic and explosive, the other meticulous and patient. Two very different kinds of disturbance, but both centered on the same man and the same property. Whether one has anything to do with the other, or whether the explanation for either is something as mundane as a troubled individual or something far less easy to name, is a question he's clearly still trying to answer himself. What would you do? The following clips were all recorded inside a French household where a woman has been living alone with her young son and their pets, and where unexplained activity has apparently been building for weeks. The phenomena don't stay in one room, they don't happen at predictable times, and according to the woman, the phenomena seem to be starting again after what she describes as a stretch of quiet. One night, the woman heard a strange sound coming from the boy's empty bedroom while the child was in the living room watching cartoons on a tablet. Even the family cat seemed to hear it. The tabby walked directly toward the dark room, calm but focused, heading somewhere with intent. Watch. Inside the unlit bedroom, a rhythmic banging could be heard coming from somewhere in the darkness, while a teddy bear appeared to move in a way that many viewers later described as unnatural. The camera lingers on the room as the sound continues, making it difficult to tell whether the movement was caused by something ordinary or something else entirely. What unsettled many people most wasn't the toy itself, but the behavior of the cat. Animals are often believed to sense things humans cannot perceive, reacting to sounds, movement, or changes in an environment long before people notice them. And in this footage, the tabby doesn't appear frightened or confused. It walks toward the room without hesitation, as if it already understands something the people behind the camera do not. Some viewers believe the footage captured a genuine paranormal moment. Others argue there may be a logical explanation hidden somewhere in the darkness of the room. But whatever caused the banging that night, one thing is certain. The reaction from the cat is what continues to leave people unsettled. Another incident happened while she was getting ready to shower late at night, and her son was already asleep in his room. She heard something in the hallway, a mechanical rolling and a rhythmic banging against the bathroom door, and when she opened it, she found this. She documented everything methodically. She found the remote control sitting on the stairs, its batteries dead for days. Her son had left it there for her to replace, meaning no one had been operating that truck, and no one in that house was awake to do it anyway. She lives alone with her child and her animals, and she plans to have the house purified, and that in itself tells you how seriously she's taking this. On another night, she woke up again, this time by her child's electronic toy drum set that had switched itself on in her son's bedroom, flashing and playing music while the child slept right through it. Take a look.
À bientôt pour un nouveau concert. À bientôt pour un nouveau concert.
As she moves through the room to shut the toy off, something small and bright moves quickly across the frame near a stack of cardboard boxes. A white orb-shaped light that travels fast and low before disappearing. Skeptics would call it dust or a lens artifact, and that's a reasonable position. Fast-moving specks caught on phone cameras at night are common enough to dismiss. But the toy turning on is the harder thing to rationalize because she says it's not the first time, and her reaction when she opens the door, "Ça recommence?" suggests a woman who's past the point of being surprised and now just exhausted by it. Some people familiar with cases like this point to what's called a poltergeist pattern, a term that comes from the German for noisy ghost, and historically describes phenomena that center around children or households under stress, characterized by objects moving, electronics activating, and escalating disturbances with no clear origin. Whether that framework fits here or not, the toys in this home do seem to have a habit of coming to life on their own. Then, the activity crossed a line. In a later clip, the woman was watching a video on a projector in the dark when she began hearing a series of sharp, unexplained taps coming from somewhere in the room she couldn't identify. Watch closely. A drawer on a small wooden table slid open on its own in front of her, smooth and silent. And then, the moment she turned her back after closing it, the door behind her slammed shut with real force. She gasped, opened the door, turned on the hallway light, and walked toward her son's room to check on him. That's when it escalated completely. A sudden, thunderous barrage of heavy sounds rushed at her from down the hallway, like something charging directly toward her, and the camera fell. The footage ends with the phone on the floor pointing at the ceiling, and the only sound is her breathing, fast, shaking, and ragged. She said that days can go by in this house without anything happening, and then everything hits at once, and that she's not afraid so much as she is worn down by it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because there's a version of the story where the explanation is mundane. Faulty toy batteries, a drafty hallway, an old door latch, and a version where a single mother has been quietly sharing her home with something that's been getting louder. Now, in this next clip, a man decides to explore American Cremation After Hours, a facility his friend works at, someone who had already warned him that strange things tend to happen around the furnaces when they're in use. He'd gone in knowing the lights shut off automatically at a certain hour, and he walks through the dark space with only his phone's flashlight cutting through the dark, past the heavy metal retorts, past the urns sitting on tables, talking himself through it calmly enough. But then, the audio starts acting up. A wave of static and distortion bleeding into his narration, even though he claims he didn't hear any of it while he was standing there. That alone would be enough to make most people turn around. He keeps going. Watch.
I have a friend that works that he would see and hear things coming from these furnaces when they're burning the bodies. So when I'm walking through here, they usually put the urns out to send to the families. So when I'm walking here at night, I walk right by these urns that they put on these tables here. And then I come down, freaking out. Fuck. Crazy.
As he holds the camera on a shelf lined with urns, the lid on a white marble patterned one lifts, twice, accompanied by a sharp metallic screeching sound that fills the room. His reaction is immediate and visceral. He swears, the camera swings toward the ceiling, and he runs. He doesn't stop until he's back in the office hallway, breathing hard, trying to gather himself. But it doesn't stop there. While he's hiding in the office, a faint, low breathy moan is caught on the recording, something he wouldn't have even known was there until he reviewed the footage later. And then, outside, standing in the parking lot with a cemetery sitting just beyond the fence line, A high-pitched female voice is captured, soft and quick, cutting through the night air. Some believe locations like this, places where the recently deceased pass through daily, carry a kind of residual energy that doesn't always leave with the body. Others think the EVPs point to something more active, something still present on the grounds. If you listen closely to that second voice especially, it's hard to explain away as ambient noise. So what exactly was in that room with him? The following clips were recorded by people living in the same quiet suburban neighborhood, a place that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary, but where residents have been noticing things that are difficult to explain away. It starts at night, on the front porch of a 2-story house. A man in a light-colored shirt steps out onto the porch, pauses, and looks around, almost as if he senses something. The porch light carves out a bright circle in the darkness, but the far left side of the porch stays deep in shadow. Pay close attention to that corner before he turns and walks back inside. Watch. Standing completely motionless on the left side of the porch, partially obscured by the railing and a pillar, is a tall, dark, human-shaped silhouette, and it doesn't move, not once. The man walks right past the area where it stands, and it just stays there, still as a statue. Some viewers think this is what's known as a shadow person, a term used broadly online to describe dark humanoid figures with no discernible features that seem to exist just outside the peripheral, present, watching, but never fully materializing. Skeptics argue it could be a cutout, a mannequin, or even a person deliberately standing still. But here's the thing. The caption attached to this footage says both the person filming and the neighbor appeared to notice something at the same time. That kind of shared experience is hard to stage. In broad daylight, his neighbor walks the place where the figure was seen in the daytime, proving it wasn't something as easily explainable as a Halloween decoration.
Okay guys, my neighbors aren't home, but as you can see, there's no Halloween decoration. So, it wasn't that.
She trails off toward the end of the clip, voice dropping just slightly, as if she herself isn't sure what conclusion to reach. Now, for context, this is the same neighborhood. Victorian homes, an old stone church next door, a block that carries the kind of age that tends to attract these kinds of stories. And she goes looking for answers. Listen closely.
Okay guys, here's your update. They are not home. Every light in the house is off. I am gonna walk over here though, just to see if there's any kind of decoration or what we could have been seeing over here. And not much. This is our driveway here, but it's just a church on the other side of here, so, and an empty parking lot, so there's no decorations. There is that fence, but you could see that in the video if I'm remembering correctly. And here's the other side, and that right there is the window I was looking out of. So I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I will talk to them as soon as I see them. I make a promise. I would like to point out though that we do live in an area surrounded by old Victorian homes, and that's an old church. Over here is another Victorian home, and our neighbor's house is actually a restored Victorian home. They basically gutted the whole thing and built it over its old bones. And then our house is a new build. And that's really all I got, friends. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. We'll figure this out together. I don't know. Maybe it's all the haunted houses around me, but I'm sure there's a logical explanation. Well, I hope there's a logical explanation.
She walks the perimeter of the unlit house at dusk, pointing out the window she'd been watching from, checking for decorations, looking for anything that could explain what she'd previously seen, and she finds nothing. No props, no staging, no easy answer. What's striking is her demeanor. She's nervous but composed, laughing slightly in that way people do when they're genuinely unsettled and trying not to show it. She points out that her entire block is made up of old Victorian homes built over their original bones, with a large historic church sitting right next door, exactly the kind of environment where, according to a lot of paranormal researchers, residual energy tends to accumulate. Whether that explains a motionless shadow figure on a porch or something unidentifiable sitting in a yard in the middle of the day is another question entirely. She ends the clip saying she hopes there's a logical explanation. And honestly, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what that explanation could be. Because between the figure on the porch, the object in the yard, and a neighborhood full of old houses built over older ones, the pattern here is getting harder to dismiss. In the following video, a man starts walking around his house carefully from room to room, checking doors, pausing at corners, clearly on edge after hearing what sounded like someone moving inside his home when he knew he was supposed to be alone. Watch.
Hello?
For a brief second, a dark figure peeks into view, not fully stepping out, not revealing itself completely, just enough to be seen, just enough to confirm that something is there. And then, seconds later, a loud, deafening scream. Viewers who watched the clip were quick to point out that when whatever you're dealing with moves from subtle signs to something this aggressive, something that not only shows itself but also vocalizes like that, it's no longer something to ignore, and it's definitely something that requires protection, not curiosity. What makes this even more unsettling is that, according to him, he had already tried saging the house, a method often used in an attempt to cleanse a space or remove negative energy, and it didn't work, which, for many people who believe in these practices, suggests that whatever is there isn't easily affected or removed. And that raises a bigger concern, because if it's not responding to attempts to get rid of it, and it's bold enough to show itself and scream like that, then it might not be trying to leave at all. So, what do you think was really waiting down there? In this next clip, a woman is simply taking her dog, Luna, for a walk through a cemetery one afternoon, the kind of quiet, routine outing that shouldn't feel threatening in any way, especially in broad daylight when everything appears still and undisturbed. At first, Luna moves normally along the path, sniffing around, calm, behaving exactly the way you'd expect. But then, something changes. Watch.
Luna, come here, babes, come here. What's wrong? What's wrong? Luna? What's wrong? Luna, what's wrong? Come here.
Luna begins whining, not playfully, not out of excitement, but in a way that sounds distressed, almost fearful, her body tensing as she starts pulling erratically on the leash, trying to move away from a specific spot as if something there is making her deeply uncomfortable. Many believe that in places tied to death, animals can sometimes sense what shouldn't be active anymore. Not just presence, but unrest, even suffering. There are darker interpretations that suggest dogs can react to what some describe as echoes of punishment, lingering energy tied to people who never truly found peace, as if something beneath the ground isn't silent at all. The idea that a dog could be hearing something like distant screaming, something buried, something trapped, is exactly the kind of thought that makes moments like this hard to shake. Now in this next clip, a young boy named Christian has been having experiences that, at first, seemed harmless, even innocent, but over time started to raise serious concern for the people around him. According to his family, he would often be seen laughing to himself, staring into empty spaces, reaching out like he was interacting with someone who wasn't physically there, and even moving from room to room as if he was following or being led by something unseen. There were moments where he would pause mid-play, look toward a corner, and react like someone had just said or done something to him. At first, it was brushed off as imagination, but then they recorded this. Watch.
What the hell do he see? What do he see? Watch this, y'all. What the hell is he running from? Oh my God, look. The hell is he running from?
She would kill me if she knew I was talking to you. I'm here because I love her. And yes, maybe in your mind, she messed up.
Come here. What the hell is going on in my house? I'm getting ready to get a Christian. What is going on? Who is here?
In the video, Christian is clearly engaged with something, laughing, responding, going back and forth like he's playing a game with someone right in front of him, someone only he can see. When the video was shared, a medium came across it and gave a very specific interpretation, saying there was a grandmother figure present, someone older, playful, making funny faces and gestures to entertain him, which is why he kept laughing and returning to the same spot. But what made this even more unsettling was the response from the family, because according to them, the boy's aunt had recently passed, and that would make her his great-grandmother. For many, that detail felt too specific to ignore, especially coming from someone the family had never met. But not everyone saw it that way. In fact, a large number of people in the comments had a completely different and far more disturbing interpretation. They warned that what he was interacting with might not be a family member at all, but something deceptive and potentially dangerous. Some even went as far as calling it a demonic presence, pointing out that in many belief systems, once a person dies, they do not return to interact with the living in this way, meaning anything that appears to be them could be something pretending, something unclean, something with a different intention entirely. So now the situation shifts from curiosity to concern, and now she has just one question. How does she get rid of it? I'll leave this one to you. In this next video, a guy named Jorge gets a call from the artist who tattooed him, and it's not for a casual check-in or to talk about new work, it's because something is going seriously wrong inside his shop. And according to him, it all started right after he did one particular tattoo for Jorge. Watch.
A while ago, Garrett had tattooed me. Obviously, you guys already know. One of them was this right here. Some of you might not know, but it's actually a Lucifer sigil symbol. He said that ever since that, that tattooed activities has been happening in his shops. He did mention that his drill went off for no reason, like his drill that he used to drill stuff, and there's been stuff falling on his other shop. There has been activity, so I told him I will try to do whatever I can. Somehow I'm gonna have to fix this. So I'm actually on my way to his house right now. I'm sorry, not his house, his shop. It looks like a house.
At first, the disturbances were subtle, lights flickering without warning, strange noises echoing through the shop after closing hours, objects not exactly where they were left, small things that could easily be brushed off. But over time, the entire place began to feel heavy, like something had settled in. So one night, Jorge decides to go there himself, carefully walking through the shop, scanning every corner. Not just out of curiosity, but because he knows what this kind of activity can turn into. And there's a reason for that. Some of you might recognize Jorge from previous videos, but if you don't, he's been dealing with one of the most intense cases of paranormal activity we've covered, to the point where it escalated so badly his entire family had to leave their home. He's experienced shadow figures, constant disturbances, violent nightmares, and even moments where he appeared to be possessed, with no memory of what happened during those episodes. So when you factor that in, it raises a serious question. Why would someone already dealing with something like that go ahead and get a tattoo, especially one that might carry unknown symbolism or meaning? Some viewers believe that decision may not have been entirely his own, suggesting he could have been influenced, subtly pushed by whatever has been attached to him, leading him into situations that allow it to spread or anchor itself further. When Jorge arrives at the shop, he begins looking around carefully to know if something followed him there or he wasn't the cause at all. Watch.
This is the kind of reasons I think these gets attached, because you know there's a lot of demonic stuff in here. Look at the sign that says tattoo, but look what it's got on the bottom. It's got a whole demon. So check this out. Here, you know, he's got these crucifix and all that stuff, and I don't know what the hell is this. He's got some animals in here. I hope that does not turn around, because if it goes around, I'm most likely gonna have a breakdown. Garrett did show me a video, and there was an actual orb that came out of this mirror, which I'm gonna be posting that soon. I'm a little nervous, guys. I'm a little nervous, but you know, I'm gonna start the process. But I told them I would try my best to try to solve this and try to communicate. But if not, then I guess we're gonna have to skedaddle. Love you guys, and let's start this.
The things he finds inside the shop itself raises questions. A neon sign shaped like a downward pointing arrow with a grinning demon face at its tip. Jars of preserved animal specimens sitting openly on display. A golden skull placed beside a crucifix, and a large mirror reflecting the entire space back at him. Individually, these might seem like aesthetic choices, but together, they tell a different story. And that's where the situation splits into two disturbing possibilities. Either Jorge didn't bring anything into the shop at all, and his presence simply triggered something that was already tied to those objects, something demonic that had been dormant, waiting for the right moment to become active. Or he did bring something with him, and everything inside that shop, the symbols, the objects, the atmosphere, acted as a kind of landing ground, something for that presence to attach itself to spread, to manifest more freely. Watch this.
How are you?
What's up, brother?
How you doing? So
Great.
you shop food?
Yeah, man, I was calling, first of all, check up on that tattoo I did, and then second, to just kind of let you know, curious on what it was. Things have been happening, so.
Oh, it was a Lucifer sigil symbol.
Lucifer?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't thought you were gonna have a problem, but.
Come on, man, dude, ever since I did that, this really weird shit's been.
Oh.
Weird shit's been.
Oh.
You see what I'm talking about, man?
Okay, I could definitely fix that. That was probably I could probably review my cameras, but I probably
Fix what? What do you mean fix that? What is that?
Is that been happening lately, or?
Yeah, things like that have been happening, but I didn't like. What is fix that?
Yeah. So do you what other stuff that you have experienced so far?
In here?
Yeah, in here, there, anywhere.
Man,
in your house.
Drills been turning on, pictures been falling on the walls. My other location, you hear like pounding in the vents. You hear like nails, almost like dogs' nails scratching on the floor. Bats will be flying in there, and we have to get them out.
Is it okay if I like maybe stay one night or something? Maybe I can probably figure something out.
Yeah, you can. I do have a tenant that lives downstairs, but you know, I'm sure he won't mind.
I can't guarantee you that I might get everything out, but I could definitely work something, because I've been trying to deal with stuff in my house. But
I'm gonna let you do whatever you do, because I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, I mean, that's between you and that. I just like to keep believing that, you know, that stuff is kind of.
A doll moves on the table, then a roll of paper towel drops on its own. Whatever the explanation is, whether this started with Jorge or was already waiting inside that shop, the pattern is hard to ignore. Because Garrett's list of disturbances all began after that one tattoo. But you be the judge. Now, in this next clip, a man is alone in his apartment late at night on October 7th of 2020, doing something as ordinary as working out with dumbbells in his living room, when a security camera catches something that goes from unsettling to genuinely terrifying in under a minute. For weeks before this, he'd been noticing things he couldn't quite explain around the apartment, but according to him, everything changed after he pulled a voodoo doll out of a nearby river. What that doll was doing there and who it belonged to, he never found out. But shortly after bringing it near his home, the activity started. Watch.
Hello?
First, it's the door, a loud, heavy wooden creak that stops him mid-rap. Then, the magazine on the coffee table slides on its own. The pumpkin falls, and a doll falls. Some viewers familiar with voodoo and Haitian Vodou traditions believe that objects tied to those practices can act as anchors for spirits, and that removing one from where it was placed, especially from a body of water where offerings are sometimes deliberately left, can disturb whatever was meant to stay with it. So, what exactly followed him home from that river? You tell me. This next clip comes from a home security camera filmed late at night, capturing footage that a husband says shows his wife sleepwalking, something she has reportedly done before, but never like this. The camera is mounted high in the corner, giving a clear view of both the dining area and the living room beyond it, and what unfolds over the next minute and a half is the kind of footage that leaves more questions than answers. According to him, she had absolutely no memory of any of it the next morning. Watch. Chairs start moving on their own, without anyone touching them. Then something appears to crawl up onto the table toward her. Moments later, a door slams shut. But what really unsettled viewers wasn't just the movement of objects. It was the shadow moving around the room before she even sat down, and then lingering, shifting, almost circling her while she remained in that state, completely unaware of what's happening around her. Some viewers believe this goes beyond sleepwalking entirely, suggesting the possibility of a spiritual or even demonic presence interacting with her, or worse, using that state, that moment where she's not fully conscious, as an opening. And the situation becomes even more serious when you consider one detail people couldn't ignore. She's with child. That alone changed the tone of the entire conversation, with many viewers urging them to leave immediately. The following video was recorded around 3 a.m. by a guy who struggles to sleep at night, so he usually keeps himself busy until the exhaustion finally kicks in. On this particular night, he was watching TV like he always does, but when he stood up to head to bed, he suddenly felt something. Watch this.
What's up? What the f? Did you hear that jingle then? You hear that jingle? That definitely moved. What the f is going on in this house? And my cat as well just keeps doing this. My cat just keeps walking around meowing, which is also freaking me out. So weird. So weird. Are you here to hurt me? Are you here to do me harm? Are you friendly? Whoa, what the f? Nah. Nah, f off. No way. What the f? No, man. No way that just moved. Loki? Loki? You need to get out of my house, whatever you are, whoever you are, you need to leave. You need to leave right now. I don't know what's going on.
The moment viewers saw the African mask hanging on his wall, the comments section exploded. People wanted to know where he got it, how long he'd had it, and whether its presence lined up with the strange activity he'd been experiencing. And the more he talked, the more everything started to make sense. He revealed that he's owned the mask for a year, but it had only been inside his home for a couple of months. And ever since then, he'd been hearing noises while lying in bed. Light taps, distant footsteps, soft shuffling in the hallway. At first, he ignored it, but now it's escalating. Another morning, around 4 a.m., wide awake again and unable to shake the uneasiness, he finally decided to make a video for everyone begging to see the mask up close. Watch.
Anyone's got any opinions on this after they've seen it up close? What kind of mask it is? How old it might be? No expert. But what the Well, that's not freaky, is it? Jesus Christ. For fuck's sake. I'm tripping over stuff now. Hello? Hello? No. Everyone's been saying, why have you got the lights off all the time? The landing light does not work, right? There's no bulb in this light. Because usually I ain't shit scared of going upstairs. But I'm doing this because I just want to try and prove to you all there's nobody in the house but me and whatever the this is with me. Oh! Oh my god! Oh, you fucking hell. There was a figure in the window. There was a silhouette in the window. There was a silhouette in the window. Oh my god. Oh my god. Why are you doing this? Huh?
After that clip surfaced, his viewers began sharing their own experiences with similar African masks. Some claimed the masks brought them sudden waves of bad luck until they removed them from their homes. Others said their once quiet house became strangely active and unsettling the moment the mask was hung up. Many urged him to get rid of it before whatever was attached to it got comfortable. And here's where things get even more intriguing. In many African cultures, traditional masks aren't just decorations. They're spiritual artifacts. Some are used in ceremonies to honor ancestors, summon spirits, or protect the tribe. But others serve as conduits, symbols meant to channel ancient energies, often tied to rituals outsiders may not fully understand. If a mask like this was once used in a ritual or belonged to a lineage of spiritual significance, it could carry an imprint, a presence. So the real question is, does he just have an artifact on his wall, or did he unknowingly bring something ancient into his home? In this next clip, two friends were on their way home after a party. They were still laughing, still hyped, and decided to record a quick video to send to the friends who couldn't make it, just to show them how the night went and how chaotic the party had been. But while filming that harmless update, they ended up capturing something entirely different. Have a look.
Got my son in the back seat. Shut your You ain't getting no ice cream! Why do you scream like that?
Hello? Hello? I don't like that.
That was her.
Grab the phone. What the heck? Did we just catch a paranormal
Huh?
Grab the phone. I'm not doing this no more.
I'm trying, don't leave me. What do you do?
I'm about to fall on my face. No, I'm not.
No! No, do not. Door.
Is this still recording?
Yes!
Oh my god, you're
Now, here's where things get strange. The exact moment they screamed, the car's light suddenly went off. But could there be a normal explanation? Some people think so. They argue that loud vibrations inside a car can loosen wiring or cause an already faulty light to flicker. Maybe the timing was just a strange coincidence, but others aren't buying it. They point out that the light didn't dim. It cut out instantly, like something interfered with the energy around them. Some are convinced they might have stirred up something they couldn't see, something that reacted the moment their voices spiked. So did their screaming disrupt the car light, or did they unknowingly catch a paranormal moment on camera? You decide. Now in this next video, a woman named Jennifer Ricks stumbled upon an old clip her daughter recorded about a year ago. Before finding this video, Jennifer had already been dealing with strange things around the house. Moments where she'd be sitting completely still, home alone, and a dark shadow would walk past the hallway like it had somewhere to be. Her dog, normally calm, also barks at odd hours of the night, sometimes staring into corners as if watching something move. But she never connected any of it. Not until she saw this clip. According to her daughter, the moment she was filming, it felt like someone was trying to take a peek at her from behind the door. That quiet, unsettling sensation of being watched, the same feeling Jennifer herself had dismissed for months. And when you put this clip side by side with all the strange things that have been happening in the house, it's hard not to understand why Jennifer now believes something is truly off. But the real fear isn't what they've already seen, it's what might come next. If this presence has been around for over a year without them realizing it, what else has it been doing that they haven't noticed yet? Until more updates come in, this one remains completely unsolved. The following footage was taken by a man's home camera, and what he later saw still stuns him to this day. Have a look.
You want to see something weird? I have the blink camera and the poltergeist static. Now I know that nobody is home. I check back on the footage and I see a light turn off downstairs. But there's nobody home. Nobody home. Nobody home. Very weird, but a very, very good capture. Check this out. I mean, people could be like, oh, well, there was somebody down there, and I wouldn't post something like that, right? This is crazy.
The craziest part of this footage is that you can clearly hear the sound of the light switch being flipped. That sharp, unmistakable click that only happens when someone physically touches it. Your first thought might be an intruder, right? Someone wandering through the house without his knowledge. But that theory falls apart quickly when you know the other things he's shared. Objects in his house have moved suddenly without explanation. A few times, items have even fallen on him, as if pushed, and more than once, he's caught faint laughter echoing from this exact same room. Soft, almost playful, but definitely not human. Viewers who analyzed his older clips pointed out something else. Strange-looking dolls and toys scattered around the room, some with faces that look unsettlingly worn or distorted. He's never addressed their origin, but people can't help but wonder if one of them is tied to whatever's going on. So when you take everything together, the laughter, the objects moving, the eerie toys, and now a light switch flipping on its own, the idea of an intruder becomes the least likely explanation. It feels more like something has made this room its space, something that doesn't mind being heard and now doesn't mind being seen. But in the end, I'll leave it to you. What do you think he's dealing with? Having a home camera is like having an extra pair of eyes watching the moments you never even knew were happening. And that's exactly what happened in this next clip you're about to see. Watch. The camera suddenly detected movement, followed by loud banging and knocking that seemed to come out of nowhere. The owner of the house said it felt like something was there, something she couldn't see but definitely could hear. That's why she decided to share the footage online, hoping other people might catch something she's been missing. So take another look. What else do you see in this clip? In this next clip, a man and his son went to check on a storage unit where he keeps all his fancy collectibles and strange antiques. But lately he's been convinced something malevolent is inside that unit. Objects shift on their own, and even the employees have reached out to complain about loud crashes and bangs coming from his space. They even invited him over so they could show him the clips themselves, and confirm whether he was anywhere near the facility when those sounds were recorded. But he wasn't. And that only made his suspicions feel a whole lot more real. But the staff didn't believe him at first, so he decided to prove it. He set up cameras inside the unit. Watch.
But just watch the video for yourself.
After he posted this clip, viewers swarmed the comments warning him to never take the cursed monkey doll home. This doll, which cost him nearly $2,000, has a history he didn't know about until it was too late. From the moment he brought it into the unit, the activity escalated. Wherever this doll sits, things fall, objects slide, and even heard from people that once owned something like it, that it might be tied to old ceremonial practices, or that the doll was once used as a vessel in rituals meant to house wandering spirits. Whether any of that is true, well, that's up for debate, but one thing is certain, he's never carrying that doll home. Now, in this next video, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his exploration inside one of Nebraska's most notoriously haunted places, the Argo Hotel. If you've been following his investigations, you already know this place has a reputation for strange activity, and Ian has captured plenty of it on camera. But on this night, after wrapping up his walkthrough, he realized there was one room he hadn't checked. Watch.
Those are some freaky dolls. Did you just make that noise? It definitely came from over here. Little girl, if that was you, would you be able to... Oh God! Alright, that's it. That's it. That doll just turned and looked at me, and I am done. Get me out of here. Alright guys, I know I ran, but damn, that was freaky. I don't know, I just couldn't handle it down there anymore. There's just a whole nother feeling, especially when you're all by yourself. Oh man, that was so freaking crazy. I can't believe that doll just turned and looked at me like that. It looked like it was possessed. Like it literally, like I was worried I was gonna get possessed or something. Like, oh my gosh, dude, that was so freaking scary. Holy moly. But anyways, I'm gonna leave cameras down there for the rest of the night. I think I'm gonna call it a night. I'm about at my limit for now. But this is a fantastic location. I absolutely love this place. This was such a fun investigation. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, be sure to like it. Again, comment your thoughts down below, and also subscribe if you haven't already. But I'll see you guys on the next one.
The doll suddenly turns, slowly, directly toward him, almost like it's aware of him, like it's responding. And in that moment, Ian is done. Completely done with this place. He leaves immediately. No hesitation, no second guesses. But the question is, how did it move? The most well-known spirit in the Argo Hotel is a woman named Alice, believed to haunt the basement. According to local stories, she passed away in childbirth in the 1940s, and people say she still wanders the halls searching for her lost baby. Some think she attaches herself to children's toys. Others believe dolls act as vessels that make it easier for her to communicate. Whatever the case may be, the Argo Hotel continues to leave investigators with more questions than answers, and to this day, the mystery remains. In the following video, a guy is making a quick video to show his sister's fiance just how creepy the crematorium where he works can get after hours. What starts as a casual walkthrough quickly turns into something far more disturbing. Watch this.
Lights, they turn off automatically at a certain hour. And I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna walk you through now. I have a friend that works that he would see and hear things coming from these furnaces when they're burning the bodies. So when I'm walking through here, they usually put the urns out to send to the families. So when I'm walking here at night, I walk right by these urns that they put on these tables here. And then I come down, freaking out. crazy.
Now, crematoriums already carry a heavy atmosphere. The energy there is said to linger, trapped between the living and the dead. Some even believe places like this can absorb emotions, grief, pain, fear, and release them in strange ways. Others think the constant contact with the deceased could make it easier for spirits to attach themselves to the living, especially workers who spend long nights alone. Now, back to the guy in this video. He's convinced there's a ghost haunting this crematorium, and until someone gives him a better explanation for what he saw, he's not budging from that theory. So what do you think? Paranormal encounter or something else? You decide. Now, this next video was captured at around 3:15 in the morning, and after what happened, there was no way the guy could go back to sleep. Watch this.
Estaba por entrar a mi casa, son 3:15 de la mañana, y la luz empieza a ser así, no sé. Sinceramente siento que hay alguien acá. No sé por qué lo presiento. Si te querés mostrar, mostrate ahora. Hay alguien sentado ahí. Hay alguien sentado. Mostrate.
Only people who've woken up to the sound of something unexplainable can truly relate to the kind of terror this brings. That feeling of being watched, of knowing you're not alone. And for this guy, it's not a one-time event. Strange things keep happening in his home, often at the same exact hour, like something's deliberately choosing that time to make itself known. But many who followed his story were relieved to find out it wasn't the Teddy this time. The same Teddy that's moved on its own in several of his earlier videos. But that only made people wonder, what if it was never the Teddy? What if whatever's in his home simply uses different objects to get his attention? Or worse, to toy with him? Some say he's dealing with a spirit that feeds off fear, while others think something darker might be attached to the house itself. Until he shares another update, what's really tormenting him remains a mystery. In the following clip, a woman named Jess shares a chilling story, one that's been haunting her for over a decade. Jess lost a close friend named Derek 13 years ago, and ever since then, he's never really left. No matter where she moves, strange things follow. Lights flickering, footsteps in empty rooms, objects shifting on their own. And in her new home, one she moved into just a few months ago, it seems Derek has somehow found her again. Watch this.
Mary, what? He's doing it again. He's doing it again. Mary, he's doing it again. Derek! Hey, Derek! I know you're dude. Derek! Derek! I'm talking to you, man. Stop f***ing me, dude. Calm down, Jessica. It's okay. It's okay. Calm down. It's just Derek. It's just Derek. Hey, Derek. Hey, Derek. What you doing, buddy? I miss you. Derek. What are you doing, buddy? You know I love you. You know I love you. Hey, Derek. Come on, you dumb. What the f?
Now, a lot of people believe Jess might be unknowingly holding on to something that once belonged to Derek, something personal that's keeping his spirit tethered to her. Others think Derek could be trying to communicate, perhaps trying to deliver a message she's missed for over 13 years, something that, once understood, might finally allow him to move on. But not everyone agrees. Some say she's making a dangerous mistake, that what she's experiencing isn't Derek at all, but something pretending to be him, using her grief to gain her trust. A few even suggested she check her attic, where energies tend to gather in old houses, and when she finally did, this is what she found.
Y'all wanted me to come up to the attic, okay? This is a wall that y'all saw some shit on. And these are the stairs. Like, my husband has all his clothes, of course. But if you look up there, there's no windows. I'm not going all the way up there because it scares the shit out of me. There's no windows. There's a sofa, some mirrors, a chair, his clothes, but there's no windows up here, okay? There's nothing up here that would have done anything. See? No window. No window. No windows. Nothing. Absolutely nothing up here. Other than like his toolboxes and a chair. I'm not going up here because it's too scary for me. But there are some mirrors, which is weird for an attic. A fan. See, there's no windows. This is my attic. There's nothing up here that could have done that shit. Alright, I'm getting the out of here because it feels weird.
So, is Jess truly being visited by the spirit of her old friend? Or something else wearing his face to keep her believing? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Now, in this next clip, we're looking at footage captured inside a daycare in East Tennessee, one that used to be an old church before it was converted. Watch this.
The video I'm about to show you is very disturbing. I'm just gonna let it play for you and then I'll give you the background.
See? Lights go off. Now watch. You're going to see.
What you just saw was security footage that was sent to me by a woman who worked at a daycare in East Tennessee, Appalachia region. This daycare is actually a very old church that was turned into like a private daycare school. She said that events leading up to this, she was kind of having some weird experiences where she would be in her office after hours and would hear like people walking down the stairs, and then she would go check the stairwell and nobody would be there, or she would hear noises coming from classrooms and open up the door and see nothing. She said she would be the only one on the property at this time because she was in charge of like opening the daycare center, and then she would often stay after hours. So nobody was in the building when she was hearing these noises. On this particular day, she was opening the daycare. She went in that door that you saw at the end of the hall and noticed there was an iPad laying on the ground. This was really odd to her because these iPads are put into this like cabinet area that are hooked on like chargers. And she said they're very secure and they're like sitting up on charging decks, if that makes sense. She thought maybe an intruder came in or something, so she immediately notified the security officer who came and checked the camera footage. And that is the camera footage that you saw. Literally, the way that iPad just flings out of that cabinet is giving me chills right now. In the beginning, I feel like I also saw some kind of an orb object, but I've watched this video so many times and I feel like it's just unexplainable. Tell me what you saw in the video, if you saw the orbs like I did, or if you noticed anything else that's odd, and leave in the comments if you have any weird experiences like this.
The way that iPad flew across the room is hard to wrap your head around. Now here's a bit of context. The woman who shared this video works at the daycare and said there had been a series of strange occurrences long before this day. She'd often stay late in her office and hear what sounded like footsteps coming down the old wooden stairs, only to find no one there. Other times, faint noises would come from the classrooms after hours, toys rattling, drawers opening, whispers she couldn't quite make out. On the morning this footage was recorded, she arrived early and found one of the iPads lying on the floor. Now, she's the one who usually opens the daycare, so at that time, the building should have been completely empty, the iPads locked away in a cabinet as usual. Thinking it might have been a break-in, she called security. Omen people believe it's residual energy from when the building was still a church, that maybe the spirits of those who once gathered there never really left. Others think the conversion of the sacred space might have disturbed something that didn't want to be moved, but what do you think really happened inside that old daycare? In this next clip, a woman was walking down a quiet street late at night when her camera picked up something she couldn't explain. Watch.
Or the sub for you is going to be more. Everything's going up, but our wages aren't going up. Because I'm still seeing wages that are fucking pitiful on Indeed. Oh yay, I can make the same amount of money I made when I was out of high school, you know? Looks like there was a figure just standing right there. That's so crazy. I think it was my own shadow. That happens way too often.
At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a shadow, but take a closer look. The outline, the faint movement, and those glowing eyes staring straight at her. Some viewers think she may have caught a shadow figure, a manifestation often linked to dark energy or spiritual unrest. Others believe it's something far more physical, a creature that thrives in the dark, staying just beyond our understanding. There could be many other explanations for what she saw, like a trick of the light, an animal, or maybe something else entirely. But the idea that it could be something aware of her presence is what makes this clip so unsettling. Because if figures like this can move freely among us, unnoticed and unbothered, it makes you wonder what else is out there when the streets go quiet. So, what do you think she captured that night? And do you believe that some things walk among us? Some seen and others we were never meant to see? Now, in this next clip, a woman named Keys has been dealing with strange activity in her home, the kind that keeps her up at night. But this time, she finally managed to catch something on camera. Watch this.
What is happening right now? First the door was moving, then I heard like talking, and then I keep seeing shadows. And for anyone telling me that I should go out there, yeah, why don't you go out there, please? Oh, it just opened and shut right in front of me. Oh man, I wish I could. Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy shit! I'm freaking out. And before anyone comes at me,
It's freaking the middle of October in Pennsylvania. It's freezing out, so I have no windows open. I have one fan that circulates throughout the whole room, and that door has never done that. Like, it's moved on its own, but never just like slammed shut like that. I can't believe I just caught that on camera. What the actual believe I just caught that. And of course I'm alone. Yay me. Fun times.
Whatever that was, it's not the first time she's seen it. Keyes says things like this have been happening for months. Objects moving on their own, lights flickering even when the power's stable, and that unsettling feeling that someone's standing right behind her when no one is there. She's tried everything from cleansing rituals to changing rooms, but nothing seems to stop it. And now, after this footage, she's starting to wonder if whatever's haunting her house might be getting stronger. If you've ever experienced something similar, drop your thoughts below. What did you do to make it stop? Because at this point, Keyes is running out of ideas and courage. Now, in this next clip, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of Nebraska's most haunted locations, the Argo Hotel. This place has a long and unsettling history. Years ago, when it was still a sanatorium, a woman named Alice reportedly died during childbirth in the basement. Since then, people say her spirit never left. They hear her crying softly in the hallways at night, sometimes calling for her baby. But here's the disturbing part. During renovations, workers found skeletal remains of an infant sealed inside one of the walls. Many believe it was Alice's child, and she's not the only one said to haunt this place. Guests staying in room 1 often complain about their blankets being tugged off in the middle of the night, or waking up to the sound of faint breathing right beside them. On November 28, 2024, Ian decided to spend the night alone inside the Argo Hotel, hoping to capture proof of what's really happening here. Watch.
That sounded like a lady's voice, right there. I swear to God, I just heard that right behind me. Alice, is that you? She's that ghostly woman that they see wandering around. Could you say something again? I don't know if I'm just losing it, but I swear to God I heard that. I'm not hearing anything else. It's dead quiet. Alice, was that you I just heard? Whoa. There's something standing right over there. It was right behind that couch. There was something literally standing in that photo. It was like a mist or something. But I'm not seeing it anymore. It's completely gone.
So was that Alice still wandering these halls, or something else entirely? For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. In the following clip, a family went to check out an apartment they were considering renting, but within minutes of stepping inside, something happened that none of them could explain. Watch this.
Yeah, I'm scared of them. That's why I'm walking.
Bubby, you stay with us.
I'm going down.
Ooh, it's purple.
You want this room,
It's Harry Potter themed.
Aside the fact that an unidentified voice suddenly whispered Jadis, viewers quickly pointed out something else that seems far more disturbing. There's a particular corner of the house that gave almost everyone watching the same unsettling feeling. It's the kind of spot that looks normal at first, but the longer you stare at it, the heavier it feels. Some viewers claim they could see faint, human-shaped figures shifting in the shadows. Others said that even through a screen, the corner looked wrong, almost like someone, or something, was standing there quietly, waiting for them to step closer. And then there's the little boy. The moment he said he was scared, a lot of people took that seriously, not because he sounded dramatic or confused, but because children are known to be extremely sensitive to things adults can't perceive. So between the mysterious voice calling out a name, the strange corner that unsettled so many viewers, and the child's immediate reaction, many believe the family got all the signs they needed. Whether they listened or not, though, that's something everyone is still waiting to know. In this next clip, a family who had been dealing with several nights of unexplained knocking finally made the mistake that so many paranormal experts warn people about. They opened the door. They didn't see anyone there, no footsteps, no cars parked outside, but ever since that moment, their normal days have looked nothing like normal. Watch this. First, you see the chair rocking, as if something was sitting there and deliberately trying to be noticed. But the moment the man reached out to stop it, something else in the room reacted, like whatever was inside that house was saying, if you stop me here, I'll just move somewhere else. And this is the exact pattern people online pointed out. Every time they try to interfere with one activity, another one starts up right behind them. It's like the presence in that house is trying to show dominance over the entire space. And judging by how effortlessly these objects move, and how quickly the activity escalates, whatever this is, it doesn't seem ready to leave anytime soon. On March 8th, 2023, Casey Lee was home with her family when her son suddenly ran out of the hallway, trying to get his dad's attention. He kept pointing, insisting that his father had to come see something. Watch.
This snack will go international. International. That looks good though, dude. We gotta try that. Alright, start this video. Break the ice. We're gonna break the rice. Slow down, some of the rice. Oh, no, that's sick. That was insane. Boy, that's amazing. Wow. Okay, let's go. That's amazing. That feels so trippy too. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, doing crunches. Yeah. Down your oil. But I can't grab all these. I'm doing it. What? Oh, yeah. That's so satisfying. Yeah, that is. Like ghost. A ghost? That looks amazing. Where? That took. Fuck that shit. Look at who? What ghost? What's that? Go get him. No.
What does the ghost look like?
What's that?
Like that? Where is he?
In there.
And where?
In there.
Here?
Uh-huh.
ghost in there? Not anymore because the light's on? Someone's over there? It's a ghost? Is it a nice ghost? Friendly ghost? Oh, do what? Am I fighting it? Fight it? I think we're good. Is it a big ghost or a little ghost?
Big ghost.
A big ghost?
Yeah.
Is it a boy ghost or a girl ghost?
Big ghost.
Big ghost.
In there. We're almost there.
The boy was way too focused for them not to take him seriously, and according to Casey, this isn't the first time he's claimed to see something that no one else noticed at first. One example she gave was from a few months earlier, when he told her there was someone sitting by the shoe rack. They brushed it off as imagination, until the motion-activated light by the rack flicked on by itself, followed by the sound of something shifting across the tiles, exactly where he had pointed. After that moment, they learned to stop doubting him so quickly, which is why this latest incident is starting to bother them more than they expected. Casey says that the very next day after this clip was recorded, both of their dogs started barking ferociously at the same corner of the house, right at the end of the hallway where her son kept staring. Whatever her son saw, the animals definitely sensed it too, but until Casey shares more updates, this case remains completely unsolved. Now, in this next clip, TJ has recently adopted a deep fascination for haunted dolls, and over the past year, she's slowly built an entire collection, each doll with its own energy, history, and personality. Every now and then, she documents her new life living with these dolls, and although many people follow her page out of curiosity, most didn't expect her newest update to be this unsettling. Watch.
What's going on down there?
This clip quickly caught the attention of other collectors who started asking, how long did it take for her dolls to get comfortable enough to do this? They explained that many of their dolls stay completely silent for months, sometimes years, and that the quiet ones often make them the most nervous, because spirits that stay still for too long usually do so while observing the environment, adjusting, and waiting. To answer everyone's question, TJ gave a detailed response. Honestly, over a year. I had to really build a close relationship with them to get the activity I'm getting now. It was definitely not always this high. Things only started picking up when they felt like they knew me well. Her comment opened up another wave of debates. For now though, TJ insists she's comfortable with her dolls and isn't afraid, but viewers can't help but wonder if that's because she truly feels safe, or because whatever's attached to those dolls has already settled in more deeply than she realizes. In the following video, we have a man who claims he lives in a haunted house. And after months of documenting the activity, viewers finally traced the cause back to an African mask hanging in his home. But like most people who have already grown attached to something they own, he's been in complete denial. Friends have told him to get rid of it, viewers have begged him, but he always brushed it off, until things escalated way beyond the point of coincidence. Watch. First, it was a single loud bang. Then the wind chime swayed, and seconds later, the cupboard door slammed shut on its own. Everything seemed connected, almost as if something was moving through the house in a straight line, starting with the bang, triggering the chime, and ending with the kitchen cupboard. But what really convinced viewers that this has nothing to do with the house and everything to do with the mask was what happened next. Because the activity didn't stop at harmless noise, it grew aggressive. Watch this. The knife flew off and almost landed directly on his leg. And that wasn't the only incident. He's been waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. to scratching sounds on the walls, footsteps pacing around his bed, and sudden drops in temperature that make the room feel freezing cold. People in the comments use this as the final push to warn him again. It's the mask, take it down, remove it from your home before something even more dangerous happens. And after everything he's experienced, especially now that he's getting hurt, hopefully this time he finally believes them. Now, in this next clip, we're looking at one of the most unsettling situations a young family has ever had to deal with. For weeks, they've been reporting strange disturbances happening only at night. Small things at first. Toys turning themselves on, footsteps in the hallway when everyone was asleep, and the baby monitor picking up faint whispers that definitely weren't coming from the parents. But recently, something changed, and whatever's happening now seems to be focused on their daughter. Every night, right after they put her to bed, she does the strangest thing. Watch this. You can hear the little girl, who is supposed to be fast asleep by this time, suddenly laughing in this almost diabolical, unsettling tone. And the way she stares, her eyes reflecting the infrared light like she's locked onto something none of us can see. That alone had viewers saying this doesn't look like normal sleep behavior at all. Some parents in the comments said this reminded them of episodes their kids had during extreme night terrors, but others are convinced this goes way beyond that. Now the parents are completely torn. They're not sure if they should call a priest, bring in a paranormal team, or just pack up and leave the house entirely. But with how quickly these episodes are escalating, doing nothing doesn't seem like an option anymore. What do you think they should do? Because whatever this is, it definitely isn't normal. Now, in this next clip, a man falls asleep with his bedroom light completely turned off, only to open his eyes around 1 a.m. and see that it's suddenly on. Watch.
Es la 1 de la mañana, acaban de prender la luz de la sala. Desde que compré ese espejo están pasando todas las cosas raras. A la madre. ¿Qué fue eso?
According to him, ever since he brought this toy home, this exact one right here, things inside his apartment have not been the same. At first, it was small things, a faint tapping in the hallway, soft creaks from the living room floorboards even though no one was out there. But with every passing night, the activity grew darker. He says he now wakes up almost every night to strange noises that seem to move from one room to another, like footsteps pacing in slow circles. And twice, something tried to forcefully twist his doorknob while he was sleeping. Not gently, not like a draft, but with the kind of pressure you'd expect from someone trying to get in. Even his cat, usually calm and curious, refuses to go near the toy. Instead, it'll sit in the doorway with its ears pinned back, staring into the darkness as if watching something move that he cannot see. And on the nights when the activity is strongest, the cat becomes restless, pacing from wall to wall, growling low under its breath. People in the comments were quick to say the same thing. be careful what you bring into your home. Sometimes it's not the object itself, but whatever might already be attached to it. And in his case, it's starting to look like he didn't bring home a toy at all. He brought home something that doesn't want to leave. In the following video, a student from the Philippines found herself trapped inside a classroom in the university's ophthalmology building, one of the oldest sections of the entire school and a place many students already claim has a strange atmosphere. According to her, she had stayed behind after hours to finish an assignment when she suddenly realized she couldn't get out. Watch.
Hindi ko alam kung magsisend to, pero kanina pa ako nandito. Walang pintong bumubukas at may topakata tong phone ko. Pag tinatry ko siyang buksan, yung mga pinto, hindi naman siya nakalock, pero ayaw niyang bumukas. Eto, tignan niyo. Parang may humihila sa kabilang dulo. Please, kung makita niyo to, ako si Maxine Cayapado ng MMA 201. Nandito ako sa C401 at nasa tapat ako ng...
She explained that the doors were not locked. They simply wouldn't open, as if something on the other side was gripping the handle and refusing to let go. The more she pulled, the heavier it felt, almost like she was fighting with an invisible force. And right when she started recording a video to show exactly where she was, hoping someone would come help her, that's when the door suddenly swung open on its own. To this day, no one can say for sure what actually happened in that room, and this video remains a mystery. This footage dates back to August 2025 and was captured by a security camera inside a family home. A woman who's been fighting a slow, exhausting mystery within her own walls. One that didn't begin with terror, but with small things that felt off. At first, it was easy to ignore. Toys would turn up in strange places, nowhere near where her child left them. Doors she distinctly remembers locking the night before would be standing open by morning. But what unsettled her most was something harder to explain. Every now and then, the house would suddenly fill with a smell. Sharp, sterile, like medicine, or cold metal, with no source she could identify. For nearly 3 years, she tried to approach it rationally, but nothing stopped the feeling that something wasn't right. Eventually, she installed security cameras throughout the house and began checking the footage whenever she could. On August 23rd, 2025, the cameras finally captured something she wasn't prepared for. The first clip was recorded while her young son was asleep and she was taking a bath. The second clip is even stranger. It was early in the morning, and if you pay close attention, you'll notice that she enters the frame from the opposite direction the figure had just been moving, meaning whatever appears on camera wasn't following her. It was already there. She's hoping someone could help debunk it or point her toward a real explanation. So, what do you think? The following video was captured by CCTV inside a hospital, a place that never truly sleeps. Even late at night, the halls are filled with quiet movement. Nurses checking vitals, machines humming softly, families drifting in and out of wards. But on this particular night, something else may have been moving too.
Kariussan ya Allah.
you can see what appears to be the figure of a small child, standing completely still. It doesn't move toward anyone, it doesn't react, it simply stands there, as if waiting. Moments later, the parents of one of the patients walk directly through the figure, and they clearly have no idea anything unusual just happened. Hospitals are often described as some of the most active locations when it comes to unexplained encounters. They're places where fear, grief, hope, and loss all exist at the same time, and many believe that kind of emotional weight leaves something behind. So, was this just a trick of shadows and lighting, or did the camera capture something most people walk past every day, without ever knowing it's there? This footage dates back to 2018 and was captured by a security camera inside a man's store. The store itself is an open-air garage with nearly 20-foot high ceilings, wide open space, and clear sight lines, the kind of place where movement is hard to miss. That afternoon, the owner was alone in his store when this happened. Out of nowhere, his sunglasses drop to the floor. At first glance, it might seem harmless. Maybe they fell off a shelf or were knocked over. But when he reviewed the CCTV footage, he realized something terrifying. No one walked in, nothing passed by. There was no gust of wind, no vibration, and no visible cause. The sunglasses didn't slide or tip over. It flew, as if it had been thrown. Many suggest the possibility of an unseen presence interacting with the environment, something strong enough to move a physical object, yet invisible to the camera. And in a wide open space like this, with nowhere to hide, that possibility becomes even harder to ignore. What do you think happened here? A freak accident, or something watching him work, waiting for the moment to make itself known? You be the judge. In this next video, a man who owns a Mexican seafood restaurant began noticing strange, almost unexplainable movements inside his business. At first, it was easy to brush them off. Small things that could be blamed on long hours, exhaustion, or simple coincidence. Glasses weren't where they were left. Items behind the bar seemed slightly out of place. And sometimes, there was the unsettling feeling that something had moved when no one was nearby. At first, he didn't think much of it, but that changed once the security cameras started catching things he just couldn't understand. In the first video, the man is about to serve a drink, and if you look closely at the tray, one of the shot glasses suddenly moves on its own. He notices it, pauses for a moment, then brushes it off, assuming he imagined it. But the activity didn't stop there. Another clip shows one of the bartenders holding a bottle when, without warning, the neck of the bottle snaps clean off in his hand. Then comes another piece of footage. A bottle shifting on its own, sliding without anyone touching it. At this point, some might argue it only happens during busy working hours. Vibrations, movement, people nearby. But the most unsettling moment comes later, when the restaurant is completely closed. The security camera records creepy audio, faint whispers, low voices, sounds that shouldn't be there when the place is empty. Now the staff can't help but wonder whether these are just a series of bizarre coincidences, or signs that something else may be sharing their restaurant with them. Is it too early to call it haunted, or is this exactly the moment they should start paying closer attention and looking for answers? A woman named Mel and her family had just left their house for a quiet weekend getaway when her phone suddenly buzzed with a Ring camera notification, one that shocked the living daylight out of her. Watch this. On the footage, something or someone opens the front door, allowing her dogs to walk outside freely. What makes this unsettling is that when Mel checked the indoor cameras, there was no one visible inside the house. The door simply opens. Imagine being miles away from a home you're certain you locked, only to watch it open on its own. At that moment, Mel's biggest concern wasn't even the door, it was her dogs. She immediately called her neighbors and asked them to help. Thankfully, they were able to get the dogs safely back inside. Needless to say, that weekend getaway ended right there. This terrifying footage was captured by a nearby house security camera. A guy had just arrived at his mom's place and stepped out of his car to offload a few things, but the camera caught something he didn't notice at the time. You'll see what looks like a human figure walking slowly out of the woods. At first glance, it's easy to miss, but as the figure approaches the car, it suddenly bows down, and then drops straight out of sight, disappearing completely. That's where the speculation begins. People say this could be a phantom person, a phenomenon many believe isn't a myth at all, but something that's been reported for centuries. Stories describe these figures as appearing briefly, often near roads, trees, or homes, only to vanish in ways that don't match human movement. Some say phantom people aren't spirits in the traditional sense, but residual figures, moments caught between time, replaying fragments of something that once happened there. So what do you think? A coincidence caught at the wrong moment, or something ancient and very real stepping briefly into view? This footage dates back to 2017, when a woman was simply trying to get some work done, but whatever was in the room with her clearly wasn't ready to let her focus. At first, the security camera captures something subtle. The chair shifts slightly. It's easy to dismiss. Chairs move sometimes, but then it slides farther than it should, before slowly drifting back into place, almost carefully. And when that didn't get her attention, whatever was there escalated. An object close to her, a bottle on the table, suddenly tips over and falls. That finally makes her react. She looks up, clearly confused, trying to make sense of what just happened. But it doesn't stop there. Moments later, her own chair is pulled backward, forcefully enough to break the illusion of coincidence entirely. This wasn't something falling, this wasn't gravity, this was interaction. And here's the detail that unsettles many viewers the most. If you increase the brightness of the footage, you can see what appears to be a faint silhouette moving backward in sync with the chair, as if something unseen is physically pulling it away from her. So here's the question that stays with viewers long after the clip ends. Was this something trying to frighten her, or something that had been there all along, finally making sure she noticed? You decide.